Hey guys, OGalbina here, and as many of you know, power creep is the single biggest problem in competitive singles Pokemon. Each coming generation, it seems the new Pokemon introduced get stronger and stronger, leaving older, lesser Pokemon to languish in the background, never seeing the competitive light again. Because of this, I decided to make this series in which I take some forgotten and unfortunately bad Pokemon that you all suggest to me in the comments, hint, suggest them in the comments, go, thank you, and bring them up to speed so they can once again occupy a competitive niche. This series is therefore aptly called Fixing Your Favorites. If you guys do enjoy the return in episode 10 of Fixing Your Favorites, be sure to drop a like on the video as well as subscribe to the channel. And if you are a current subscriber and you want to become a channel member, I would really appreciate it. Hit the join button down there. We got a lot of really cool options when it comes to emotes, special roles in the Discord server, and even some draft league help if you want that. So yeah, definitely check that out. With that being said, let's jump into it. Today we have a special episode. As of the time of this recording, Generation 9 has been out for about a half a year. In that time, we've become pretty accustomed to some of the new Pokemon, what they do, what their capabilities are, etc. Unfortunately, there are some stinkers in Scarlet and Violet. We gotta start off with Iron Thorns. How in the world did Game Freak mess up Mecha Tyranitar? Let's look at Thorn's positives and what we can build on first. First up is the move pool. Dragon Dance, Swords Dance, Earthquake, Wild Charge, Heavy Slam, Iron Head, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, Rock Slide, Stone Edge, Body Press, Spike, Stealth Rock, Taunt, Volt Switch. I mean, it literally does not end. On top of that, it has some awesome stats with a really high attack stat and very solid bulk. With these qualities, how is Thorns currently sitting in RU? One simple thing, it's terrible dual typing of Rock Electric. Rock Electric is covered in weaknesses, the most prominent being a 4x weakness to ground, and that never allows this Pokemon to get anything going offensively. That'll be the first thing we're changing. We're going to be looking back on Unova for this type changing, looking at something that may have helped inspire Iron Thorn's design to begin with. I'm of course talking about MT. For those of you who don't know, in PokeStar Studios there were some exclusive Pokemon, if you want to call them that you could take on whilst making movies. MT, or presumably Mecha Tyranitar, was one of these, and it boasted a pure steel typing. Makes sense as it's literally the mechanical version of T-Tar. That's what we'll be changing Iron Thorn's typing to as well. It makes sense thematically and fixes 95% of the problems this Pokemon has. Pure Steel is an incredible defensive typing, and while it's still weak to fighting or ground, with its solid bulk, it can now take a hit from them. Plus, with the move pool including Heavy Slam and Iron Head, it already has Stab to work with. Lastly, we'll be buffing its stats, and before you freak out, I know the Paradox Pokemon have a set BST of 570, unless you're Iron Valiant or Roaring Moon. And listen, Roaring Moon is based on Salamence, a pseudo-legendary. So is Iron Thorns, so why did they get shafted out of the 590 BST? Well, he's not here, and we're going to be adding 10 BST to its speed, letting it get the jump on base 80s, and 10 to its special defense to give it even more setup or hazard opportunities. Bam! Worst Paradox Pokemon turned into arguably one of the best. Second off, we have our resident mooing sand crab in Klawf. It is insane that this Pokemon is bad. Not only does it have a really cool signature ability in Anger Shell, which basically acts like a mini Shell Smash to giving it a boost to its attack, special attack, and speed when it gets below half HP, but it also has Regenerator. Yes, the single best ability in singles. Klawf being bad comes down to three things: its typing, stats, and move pool. The pure rock typing is pretty terrible, but as much as I wanted to change it to a rock water type, I couldn't justify it thematically, so it'll stay the same. First up, we'll fix Klawf's move pool. Remember how I said it has a built-in mini Shell Smash as an ability? Well, guess what move it doesn't get? Shell Smash. That literally makes zero sense. That'll be the first move we add to Big Klawf's move pool. Next up will be Earthquake, as it already learns Earth Power and High Horsepower, so it only makes sense for it to have Earthquake as well. Plus, this gives it stronger and more reliable options when hitting bulky steals that want to switch in and resist stab rock moves. Last move we're adding is Spikes. This will help a ton with Regenerator sets, as it makes Klawf on with Regen, Spikes, and Stealth Rock. This can allow it to function as an incredible hazard setter and pivot with Regenerator. Now about those stats. They suck. Let's juice them up a little bit. For a single stage Pokemon, 450 BST is pretty low. I don't want to make Klawf broken and give it 100 more BST like a Mega Pokemon or something, but I feel like it should be on par with other single stage Pokemon like Druddigon, so its base stat total will match the Rocky Dragon's in 485. That gives us 35 BST to work with. We'll start by jumping up its attack by 20 from base 100 to 120. We want to make sure those +2 or +3 Stone Edges and Earthquakes sting. Then we'll buff the speed from a base 75 to 80, giving it a nice little jump to get off those hits, set up, or even set hazards. The last 10 will be thrown to Klawf's terrible Spadef stat of 55 to 65. Still not great, but serviceable at the very least. These buffs aren't going to make Klawf an OU Titan, as funny as that would be, but it will allow it to perform its niches at a more consistent rate. Be honest with me, have you ever seen or heard of Bramblegast? Nope, I knew it. Arguably one of the most forgettable Pokemon in this newest generation, and for good reason. It blows. It has some really cool qualities as a grass immune to Hurricane and Heat Wave, access to Spikes, Rapid Spin, and Strength Sap. But that's really where the positive ends. First up, we need to make this thing bulkier, as it is unbelievably frail as a ground resist and rapid spinner. We're going to bring up its HP, defense, and special defense by 10 BST each, making them 65, 80, 80 respectively. This won't make it insanely bulky, but it won't automatically fold to any move it doesn't resist. And Grass Ghost is actually pretty solid typing defensively. Next up, we're going to tweak its signature ability, Wind Rider. It's a really cool concept, but being immune and getting a boost from wind moves only is a bit too niche and specific. Instead, we're going to be making Bramblegast immune to all flying type moves, as well as nabbing that attack boost. This essentially gives it a flying type version of Sap Sipper, which is much more likely to proc and eliminates an entire common weakness. This is especially valuable because now it can block Defog and Rapid Spin while gaining attack boost at the same time. Speaking of attack, Bramble's reliable physical ghost stab right now is Shadow Sneak. Yikes! We'll be giving it Poltergeist. This on top of Cryo Shadow Sneak and Power Whip make this thing pretty decently threatening with a base 115 attack. Nothing too crazy, but with these changes, Bramblegast will be much better on lower tier hazard stack builds and matches up phenomenally into certain rain teams. Dugtrio. Gross. Not only is it a top 3 ugliest Pokemon in Paldea, it is also unbelievably awful. It's wild to think that Dugtrio is uber worthy, and it is solely based on its ability in Arena Trap. You see where I'm going here, right? Yes sir, Big Wuggy is getting Arena Trap over its current useless hidden ability in Sandvale. This alone would give Dugtrio some incredible viability on trapping ground and fire types. However, I still don't think that's enough to make it truly viable, as water isn't as great of an offensive typing as ground. Because of this, we're going to make a few adjustments to Wuggy's move pool. First up, we're going to buff its signature move Triple Dive and make it a bit stronger, up to 40 base power each hit. This makes it essentially a close combat level moves, opposed to a measly base 30 each hit, topping out at base 90. Then we'll be giving an Ice Spinner as a viable way to punish water resist and grass types, Stealth Rock because bro is literally in a rock, and Swords Dance to match the buff that Dugtrio got, getting access to the boosting move in Generation 9. These buffs take Dugtrio from one of the worst Pokemon of this generation, and arguably of all time, to a borderline broken one. Last up, we have a Pokemon who bombed in its debut generation. It's Bombardier, get it? Because Bomb and his name is Never mind, let's just start talking about Bombardier. Bombardier has some really cool aspects. Rocky Payload gives it basically 3 stab types, it gets momentum, it's a strong stab knockoff user, which is really hard to come by these days as well. Heck, it can even Stealth Rock. The issue with our Stork friend is its abysmal stat line. He looks straight out of Gen 1 with these stats. I mean, 103 attack as its highest stat? Buff time. We're going to boost its attack by base 20, speed by 20, and special attack by 10. The attack and speed buff will make Bombardier a certified demon of a breaker, also giving it a phenomenal speed tier of 102, outpacing base 100s and speed tying the likes of Garchomp. The plus 10 special attack is to make nasty plus sets a bit more viable. Now one more change. Outside of Rocky Payload, the bird has some pretty bad abilities. We're going to be getting rid of the useless Big Peck's ability for the awesome one in Rockhead. It makes so much sense thematically, but I know what you're thinking. It only has Brave Bird to take advantage of this. Well, it did, my friend. Next, we'll be adding the nuke of Head Smash to its move pool. Not only will this be incredible in conjunction with Brave Bird on its new Rockhead sets, but it is an absolute nuke on Rocky Payload sets. Bam, we just made this thing go from Dark-type Fearow to Honchkrow on the juice. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fixing Your Favorites. Let me know what you thought of the changes in the comments below. I kind of realized after doing all the research for this that all Paradox Mons share typing with their original form and they're all dual typing. So I have Mono Steel Tyranitar, which doesn't technically work. And Steel Dark is terrible and Steel Rock is terrible. So just gonna have to bear with me on that one. I get it now, but also it's a pretend series. So if you get mad that it's a pure steel typing in the comments, I think you should touch some grass. But other than that, let me know what you guys thought of the buffs we did today. Let me know some Pokemon you want to see in the future. I'm excited to bring this series back. I know it's a fan favorite on the channel, and I'm hoping some new people get to see it. And yeah, like I said, drop a like. So if you're new, become a channel member too. And I'll see you in the next one. Join the Discord. Bye. Also, a big shout out to our current channel members, Olivia Sama, Zeke, and D Double.